to another episode of the Poncho's Paint Booth, the model channel, as always, as you should already know by now. We have a slightly different model for you guys this time around. I say different, it's just like a different model range, I guess you should say. It's still Warhammer, but this time we were doing the Dire Avengers, the Eldar Dire Avengers. If it'll ever come into focus. Here, I'll just go ahead and zoom down for you so you guys can see a little bit better. The Dire Avengers, they're basically kind of like the regular foot soldiers of the Eldar faction. If this will ever come into focus, maybe. But they're they're stronger. There we go. They're stronger and more skilled. And, without tossing my models all over the place, they belong to a group called Aspect Warriors, meaning that, well, they kind of specialize, and these guys essentially specialize in everything. And another thing about these guys is that they have a very, kind of a set-in-stone color scheme, so we're going to go ahead and follow that today. And what that is it's primarily blue and white. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the primary armor color, which is going to be done with our Army Painter Dark Sky Blue. And then once I do that, I'm going to hit it with, here we go, our Drakenhof Nightshade Wash, or Shade, I should say. And that'll give us some more detail into the negative areas, as we like to do. It won't be as much since it's a dark color going into a dark color, but it's still going to be something, because we are going to be dry brushing over these guys at the end, or after this step. But for now, it's going to be all layer colors, so make sure that this stuff is properly shook up. And pour some out. Yeah, that should be a decent consistency. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, so that is the base color done on these guys. And as I warned you guys already, it's going to be it comes out very dark. It's almost black. You can almost barely see the blue. And of course, it doesn't help that the wash is still wet. This one in particular tends to be a little bit glossier. So we're gonna let that dry for now, as we always do with washes, and then up next I'm going to dry brush a lighter color over the armor, and that's gonna really make it stand out and get that nice bluish color in there. But that is a surprise that's coming up in, well, a few seconds. Okay, so as you can see, the shade and the color on these guys' armor has dried. It's a nice deep shade of blue. It actually shows up better with the light. But, I mean, it is kind of hard to see, and of course, you can't really see a lot of the details. We're going to change that now, actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to dry brush over the entire model with, actually, I wonder if this might be better. Nah. We're going to dry brush over the entire model with our steel gray. This is a slightly lighter blue. And then what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to kind of try and go over some of like the more highlights or the edges the more pronounced edges with our electric blue. So that's a little more on the brighter side. So, and this is going to be a more all-encompassing dry brush with the steel gray. And we are going to, well, I'm just going to go ahead and get right to it. Alrighty, so that's pretty much all the blues done for these guys. As you can see, by we I mean me, I went ahead and hit so I hit the whole model with the steel gray, and that kind of gave us the general light bluish color on the armor, and then I only went over certain spots with the electric blue since it's a lot stronger. So, like especially on the around the back of the neck and the shoulders there, you can kind of see it's like really brighter along the edges, are more pronounced. I think this guy's actually a little bit of a better example. Yeah, it blends in since it's all blue. but and it's kind of close to the non-metallic metallics process, which I don't really do at all or really believe in. But so that is, yeah, that's the blues, and then we're gonna tackle the white parts in a second. So now we're gonna get some more, a little bit more color into these guys now, or I guess kind of lack of. We're gonna be doing the whites now, and so what that's gonna be is we're gonna, of course, use our famous or infamous dragon white. No, there's the label, dragon white, and then on top of that we will use the apothecary white contrast paint, and what this does is it leaves kind of like the major surfaces white, and then fills in the crevices and recesses with a kind of a medium lightish gray. So it's like white, but just a little bit of shadow. And so where that's going to go is that is going to be on the shoulder pads here, the main crest of the helmet, the main body of the helmet, so everything except for the face and the plumage that they got going on here. And then, of course, any cloth parts that I see. So, like, a lot of their forearms have like a small wrap around them, so that's going to be white, as well as whatever they got hanging off the back, their sashes, or in the front, I think, in some cases. Or no, these guys, it's just all the back. And then, of course, the main barrel section of their rifles is also going to be white. So that's going to be like this underpart here that is a bit, see if you can see it there. Yeah, the thing is kind of triangular shaped. That's going to be white. So, since I got a few guys, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Alrighty, that is the white's almost done. I think I'm gonna go back in and do a little bit of dry brush work on top of what I just did here. So let's see. So yeah, the apothecary white shade. Once it comes into focus, there we go. It's a very subtle effect. You can see it especially better on the hands. There, it adds a little bit of gray into the recesses, and then also a little bit on the helmet, especially where. Let me see if I turn the light off there. There you go. Yeah, so it kind of pronounces the inside of the curves on the helmet, for example, and then of course around all the gemstones and stuff like that that are going to be done later. Actually, maybe if I show you the back here. Yeah, that's probably the best example on his little I want to say tabard, but that's not right. So anyways, as always, the contrast paints are of course more of a wash color. They're nice and wet, so we are going to let that dry.
You know, it's true what they say about pretty much every video on YouTube. Whether it be, don't read the comments. Whether you be scrolling through your, favorite video, your favorite show, podcast, whatever. All you see as you're looking through is, things like, oh, why do they talk about this? Why do they talk about that? I don't like this guest. I don't like that host. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Well, to which I say, get your own show. And now, with Buzzsprout, you can. It's that easy. Buzzsprout is a podcast hosting service that provides hosting not only on their own site, but also on pretty much every other podcast platform out there. Every single major one. Get yourself listed in iTunes, Pandora, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. I'm on all of these with this podcast, as a matter of fact. And Buzzsprout, it provides a bunch of other services too. Not only just hosting, but indefinite hosting. So whatever you put on there, if you have a subscription, it's there until the end of time, or at least until the power goes out. Buzzsprout also provides you with avenues of monetization, be it through affiliate programs, kind of like this, and also through Podcorn, which is a sponsorship portal where you can go on and provide your submit your proposals and hopefully get money that way. And a new feature that Buzzsprout has is magic mastering, which is a auto leveling you can apply to your audio files as they go into the service, and it'll help you get all the little clicks and the pops out of here, which I know I have going on in mine still. And it's also helpful for situations where you have more than one person, or maybe you're doing a show over Zoom or what have you. Magic mastering helps with that. And if you're listening to my show, if you go to the bottom of the show notes and use my link, you can start a subscription with Buzzsprout today. Furthermore, if you're using my link, you will also get you will get an Amazon gift card after your second billing period. So, I win, you win, everybody wins. I'd say, if you got something to say, go ahead and say it. Use Buzzsprout, get your own podcast today.
Alright, so we've applied the base layer of the whites down, and I went ahead and, well, as you remember in the last video, we added in the what's it called? The contrast paint in to get some gray detail. I don't know why it's not focusing. There we go. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go back in and dry brush over the white sections with white again, so that'll kind of clean up and brighten up the sections, even though with the ring light it's already blown out a bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of the details, such as the body of their rifles and some of the stuff that they have hanging off, like the equipment that they have hanging off their belt. That's going to be done with cold gray. And then you also notice that there's on their right forearms here they have a tube that leads from basically their elbow to their gun handle. And then also on the plumes here, I'm going to use ash gray, which is the lighter gray than the field gray. And there's a bunch of models, so let's just go ahead and get started. There we got I did the highlights for the whites, and we got our grays all done on these guys. Which it does look a little bit boring now, but we're going to get some color in pretty soon. So as you can see, I got the darker gray on the gun, and all of his stuff on his belt, which is mostly just, grenades and extra clips. Same with the rest of these guys. And then the lighter gray on the helmet plume, which that's just the base. And let's see, also on the arm tubing, right there. And there were a couple other spots that needed a lighter gray. So what I'm going to do now, that I don't need these, those away. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fill in some of those areas with Null Oil. And this is just going to be on the gray parts. It's going to help us get our recessed details. And I probably won't need a dry brush afterwards, but let's go ahead and get into that. set as the wash-in. So that should give us a little bit more details and make them a little less boring looking, since it's all just kind of grays and whites right now with a little bit of blue in there. And as always, we will let that dry before moving on. Alright, so now it's time to start adding a little bit of contrasting color to these guys. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to attack the plumes and add a little bit on. So what that's going to look like is we're going to break out the pure red. This is our bright red. And what I'm going to start doing is with the plumes, I'm basically going to add in red stripes all the way down and across like so. Let's see, and then I will also, you'll notice that there's like a lot of gems and stuff around, or kind of half gems. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to put this red on these two gems that are on the shoulder, and then also in any cases where I can, you'll also notice that there's there's also a couple gems usually on the chest, but there's always one on the left side, even though it's normally hidden by the gun, but I'm going to go ahead and hit that with the red as well. And, well, let's just see what that looks like. That was tedious, but that is our reds done. So, it was all worth it. So you can see we got some stripes in the plumes, and some of the gems are red. I'm not gonna not all of the bumps, if you will, are gonna be painted. Most of them I'm just gonna leave blank like they are right now, and I'm gonna use I will do some later, but I'm going to use a different color for that. But for now, we're going to move on, and now I'm going to use, give this a good shake, Shining Silver. And what this is going to go on, this will be a little bit less tedious, is you'll notice that On their guns, excuse me. On their guns, they have sort of this flat barrel thing along the middle. So that's what this is going to go. And then also on all the clips of their guns, they have like this banana clip type thing, and it's a little hard to see, but there's also kind of like a thing at the base of the clip there. So basically, the edge of the clip is also going to be painted silver. And then the last thing is on this guy who's kind of like our who can kind of pose as a leader. I'm gonna go ahead and paint the sword blade silver as well. So let's do that. Alright, I took a quick break to clean off my palette here, but I just finished applying the shining silver on these guys. So now, the last thing I'm going to do, for now, is there's a bunch of small emblems and tokens all over these guys. Let me see, this one doesn't really have a good example. But like this guy, for example, here, he's got a thing on his leg. You can't really see it from here. Or like here, hanging off the gun, he's got like a little emblem type of thing. And all that is going to be painted through with bright gold. This is our lighter gold color. I haven't actually used this stuff yet. But that is going to be used pretty much all over. Oh yeah, this guy has one here. Everybody's got something that needs to be hit with this, so that's what we're going to do now. Small details. Speaking of which, I just realized that there is something on this melee guy that I forgot to do. A little bit of a silver details, which I'm going to do right now. And that is just these little tabs coming off of both his forearms and his shins. So we got some right there. And down here. All right. So that gold was a little wetter than I was hoping. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back, and there's really only a couple of small details left, and then we can start working on the bases on these guys. Alright, we are almost done with these guys. So all that's really left to do is there's still a few gems, well, soul stones actually, that I want to hit. So you notice on some parts on these models where I did the gold, there's some gem insets that, well, they're blank right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill those in with our blue violet from Vallejo. This is more of a light purple. And then, once I'm done with that, so that's only like a few spots. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to hit those purple gems and the red ones that I did on the shoulders and the chest piece. I'm going to cover them with a hard coat technical paint. And what that does is it'll make them glossy and shiny. So let's get started with that. Alright, that is the gems all done. They're nice and shiny. So now all that we have left on these guys is to do the bases. Now you'll notice that I did in fact add in some stuff on the bases, namely some skulls and some rocks. Just a couple skulls and just a couple rocks. And I took the liberty of doing up the skulls off camera because I mean you've already seen me do a few of those. So what I'm gonna do now is for the base, I've decided that with my craftworld's eldar, they are all going to be done with wet ground. Now supposedly this should look like a nice nasty muddy ground, so should be interesting. I have not actually used this yet, so your first time is also my first time. I did crack this open at least. Let's see. Using this brush. And, oh yeah. That's a nice, nasty, muddy color got going on there. So, going to take some of this. And let's see what that looks like on these guys. And I'm just going to try and get it sort of everywhere. So it looks like it's it's kind of similar to the Citadel texture paints, where there's just some fine-grained or fine granular texture. And we'll go ahead and kind of get it all up on the boots and stuff here too, because it's mud is the idea. And from what I can tell, this should supposedly, it should remain kind of glossy as it dries, which we'll see. Still need to get some more here. And we're just going to get this base nice and muddy all over. And I think, well, you guys already know that I normally do cleanup on the base rims, which I'll probably just save that for after, off camera. Because this, yeah, I just will. Okay, so, yeah, technically, obviously it's still wet, but that's more or less what that's going to look like. It definitely looks like wet mud. And that was the idea. So, let's go ahead and do up the rest of these real quick. Alright, that's it. We got some wet mud on here. It's going to be a while before this stuff dries. And honestly, I might not even be able to tell if it's dry because it's going to look wet. But, oh, that is not the camera. There we go. Nice and wet, whenever it focuses. Nice and wet. Yummy, yummy. So, there you have it. That is the... Here, let me get one of these guys up here for you. Eldar Dire Avengers. A little bit better. Whatever. You saw me doing this whole thing. So yeah, as always, thank you for tuning into the paint booth. If you like this episode, like and subscribe here. If you're, well, obviously you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe to my channel here, Multi-Murdy Media. There are plenty of other videos. This is, number 13 we're on now. So I've got 12 more videos that have already been on here, if you're watching this now. And I got plenty more along the way. I got a whole bunch planned out. And then, of course, I also have other playlists here on this channel. I've got my podcast, Jankety Ass Podcast. And then I also have the Gutsy Ass Gamer Show, which is where I play video games on Twitch and basically just port everything over and show you the highlights and kind of speed through the not-so highlights. And then also, if you want to hear more of me, check out my podcast. Pretty much everywhere you get podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Pandora. No, not Pandora. iHeartRadio, Spotify, some other ones in there as well. And then, of course, also my all my links website is the easy way to get to all that. And then, of course, check out Multi-Murdy Media on Instagram and Facebook, as well as YouTube here. Yeah, I already said that. And yeah, so these are not the first craftworld Eldar models, or well, these are the first craftworld Eldar models that I will be doing, but I have other ones coming on the way. I already have another video that I'm working on, the leader of these guys, and then I also have another box set sitting around somewhere that I have yet to build that I managed to win a while back. So there's going to be more along the way. That's going to be more next year. But yeah, stay tuned.